I'm Avery Toole, and welcome to HHS Today, episode 86 of our 5th season. Today, we've got a great show filled with opinions, quizzes, fun, and more. First, if you haven't seen our video on the full return, definitely go check that out on our website. Now, without further ado, let's get to our first segment, Christian quizzing Hillers on geography. Let's see what they know.
What is the capital of Canada?
I don't know.
Toronto.
Boston.
Toronto?
Oh, I don't know.
What is the largest desert in the world?
Antarctica is a frozen desert.
Antarctica.
My backyard.
The Sahara Desert.
The Sahara?
And Antarctica.
And final question, what is the largest continent?
I don't know. Is it North America?
Asia.
Boston.
Asia.
Africa.
Asia.
Correct. Nice job on this quiz.
Those are some pretty interesting questions, and we got some great answers. I had no clue Ottawa was the capital of Canada. Thanks, Christian. Now time to check question of the day, and today Emily is asking, if you won the lottery, what's the first thing you'd buy?
The question of the day is, if you won the lottery, what's the first thing you would buy?
Radio.
A house.
A car.
I would actually give it away. All of it.
A house. I'd spend it all on Bitcoin.
And a manga skin.
I'd probably buy a restaurant where they make burgers and donuts. Not you.
V-Bucks.
A yacht.
Some fertilizer.
A car.
I'll buy an expensive house.
I would buy a cashing and checking business.
A computer.
I'd buy a phone.
The battle pass.
I would pay someone to play Minecraft with me.
I'd buy lottery tickets.
McDonald's.
I'd probably buy a ton of iced tea.
Wow, we had quite the variety of answers. Personally, if I won the lottery, the first thing I would buy would be a Versace dress. Now, it's time for Zoe's interview with some of the winners from the HHS Science Fair, Neil, Barat, and Brian.
Would you mind broadly explaining the essence of your project, designing the modern truck?
As part of a solution to climate change, so we wanted to make trucks more efficient. And so we found that the way to do this was by improving drag coefficient. So we made 3D models in CAD software and then tested it in professional aerodynamic software to find the resulting drag coefficient. And then from there, we used the engineering design process and came up with the best design that we could.
Your project is very significant as it relates to climate, the economy, and the ever-changing world. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
In our world today, we rely really heavily on trucks, and it's one of the main ways that we transport goods around the world. So improving the design of the truck will help reduce a lot of the fuel that trucks consume.
Finding the conclusion of your project wasn't a linear path because you experienced many setbacks, but what were some of those challenges and how did you overcome them?
There were issues with like edges and surfaces, and then also sizing and scaling to make it actually fit well and work well. And so to overcome those, we kind of just got together, brainstormed ways to overcome that.
Congratulations again. That was a cool project. Now we have a segment I produced, which is a TV show review on the Wonder Years. Hi HHS, I'm Avery Toole, and I'm here to tell you about a show that I think you should watch called The Wonder Years. The Wonder Years is a show about a young boy named Kevin Arnold growing up in the 60s and 70s with his older brother and sister and best friends Winnie and Paul. The Wonder Years is mostly a show about the perspective of a 7th grade boy into high school and beyond. I would recommend the show because for one, it is hilarious and it is also extremely relatable in my opinion. You can find the show on Hulu, and if you're looking for more shows like this one, good news, they're making a reboot of the show starting soon. And for other show recommendations, I would say the show Freaks and Geeks, and if you're looking for a show that is super old, I would recommend Happy Days, which you can find on Paramount+. See you next time, HHS, for another show review. I love that show, and I hope you do too. Also, keep an eye out for the reboot that's coming soon. In our next segment, Mario has a chat with Mrs. Wetterlow, who teaches French here at Hopkinton High, and she'll tell us why she decided to teach it.
I loved French from the first time I took it in 7th grade, and it was definitely my French teacher. I love the culture, I love the language, and I knew I wanted to study it in college, and then probably the most obvious thing to do with French is to teach it.
What's the best thing about French?
Like the whole Francophone world really interests me, and I love being able to talk about the culture with my students. And French enabled me to be able to travel. And when after I did my master's, I lived in Martinique in the French Caribbean for 2 years, and it changed my life. And so that's one thing that I always tell the kids, that I had these amazing experiences thanks to studying French.
What's the hardest thing about teaching French?
Well, with French, I think one thing it challenged the kids. I love, like, I've been here 11 years teaching, and the kids are wonderful. But I think that sometimes the challenge of teaching French is like the spelling of it, and the pronunciation.
When and where did you start teaching French?
I lived overseas for about 5 years thanks to studying French. I lived in Martinique, and then I also lived in southern France. So I've been teaching French, I'd say now about 13 years.
Have you ever gone to Paris?
I have. I first went to Paris in the late 90s, and then I've gone to Paris with Hopkinton High School students. So that's been a great experience too, being able to travel with kids overseas.
Thank you very much.
De rien, Mario.
And see you next class.
À bientôt.
Wow, after that, I wouldn't mind teaching French. Well, next up is Elias with his segment 60 Seconds in Period 2, taking us around HHS. Nice work. Thanks, Elias. And that is it for this episode. Watch more episodes on our website, hhs.today, and tell us how we're doing by emailing us at hhstv@hillards.org. Tune in next time for more Hopkinton High School, and stay safe over break. See ya!